Hello, everyone. Welcome to Junior Adventures this week. My name is Ann Siskanik. I'm the digital education intern this summer. Today, we are going to learn about the wild weather of Maine through photographs, diaries, and stories from the museum, and then try out some fun weather activities ourselves. I want to thank our members and those who choose to donate to our programming at the Penobscot Marine Museum. For more information about the upcoming speakers, membership, and donating can be found on our website and on our Facebook page. Throughout this program, please share your comments and questions by posting below. Up first, we are going to talk about the history of weather in Searsport and about weather experienced by people from Searsport who went to sea. Now, Maine experiences similar weather to the rest of the United States. Sunny days, rainy days, and some in between. Maine can get a little warm in the summer, but it's better known for all the snow it gets in the winter. Maine is one of the snowiest states in America due to the freezing temperatures it gets in the winter. Because of the temperature, ice harvesting was a big part of Maine history. Here are some pictures of ice harvesting in Maine. Now this is good for the economy, but it could also be good for fun. You can do some skating, sledding, snowball fights, that sort of thing in the winter time. Now snowy and icy weather is pretty common for Maine, but we also have some unusual stories of weather. In 1921, about 100 years ago, a tornado touched down in the middle of Searsport and did a lot of damage to the town. It damaged many of the houses, normal people living there, and it also damaged some summer houses, people who moved in just for the summertime. So it destroyed some houses, and then it also moved out to sea and became a water spout, damaging the docks as well at Max Point. Tornadoes are extremely fast rotating columns of air that are caused by storm clouds. The winds that they cause can tear off the roofs of houses and different buildings, like you can see here. They can also just take the side off and leave everything else inside. And sometimes they do both. You can see the roof came off this house and the side of it is over there on the left. One of the houses in Searsport, owned by Captain Phineas Pendleton, actually moved 8 feet from its foundation. Trees and other objects also get damaged. You can see this one got knocked right over. So again, this tornado moved out to sea and it turned into a water spout before finally disappearing. Tornadoes and water spouts can be fascinating. So today we are going to do an activity where you can make your own tiny water spout in a bottle. I'm going to switch cameras and show you the different steps for that. Just 1 second. All right. So for this activity, you are going to need 2 small empty water bottles with their caps, which are right here, but without their labels. That way you'll be able to see the water spout inside. You will need some duct tape, and you'll need a hot glue gun and a drill. And because you have a hot glue gun and a drill, you're going to need an adult to help you out with those. The first step is to remove the 2 caps from the bottles and hot glue them together. So I've already done that here. You're going to glue top to top so they fit in nicely together. Then cover the sides of the caps with duct tape here. And you're going to cut off anything that comes over the little lip there. So trim it down. Then, again, with an adult's help, take a drill and you're going to drill a little hole in the middle of these caps here. This would be about 1/2 inch across. And once you have that done, you're going to screw one side onto the bottle like that, and then fill up the other bottle about halfway with water, kind of up to this where it starts to get narrower there. Once you have that done, you're going to screw this onto the other bottle and make sure you get it screwed on correctly. You don't want this to all spill out, so it can be a little tricky sometimes. Go. There we go, nice and snug. All right. Once you're ready to get your water spout to come to life, here I'm going to switch cameras so you can see. But you are going to flip the bottle over so the water's at the top and shake it up. And there's your little water spout. All right, pull that over again. Sometimes the bubbles get shake a little bit more. There you go. All right. You can also do this with soda size bottles, those big 2-liter ones. But if you want to make a little mini one, you use these little bottles here as well. All right. So now we have seen what weather can do on land, but there are many stories of weather affecting those living at sea. Sometimes the wind was as strong as during a tornado, and there were reports of water spouts at sea. But wind was necessary for ships to move before steamships were invented. So sailors learned to work with the sometimes calm, sometimes wild wind that they depended on. We have diaries and reports from people aboard ships, and many of them kept weather diaries. Ernest Perkins was a passenger in 1892, and we have his journal from his voyage. He tells the story of one storm in his diary. He wrote, "About midday, the sky to our south and east began to wear the appearance of squalls, which came down on us. It seemed in no time at all. This kind of business kept up for the larger part of the PM, and when the sun set tonight clear and glorious, we thought we had done with them for one day. But contrary to our expectations, the south and east became black immediately, and we had very heavy wind squall with rain all the time since. I've just come below in a lull to write my day's record, leaving my drenched oilskins in the lee companionway to let them drain until I finish this." Sometimes storms came at the most inconvenient times. Joanna Colcord spent about half her childhood aboard her father's ship, and she told the story of how her brother Lincoln was born in the middle of a storm. Lincoln, she said, arrived in a gale of wind. Now, Ernest also mentioned how important wind was to sailors in his journal. He said, "The wind this morning was conspicuous by its absence, becalmed all day, nothing but lay and roll. Of course, the profits are cut down by every calm day, and so much longer making port, so much longer before we are homeward bound." So if the ship didn't have enough wind to push it along, it would take a very long time to get to its destination. Sometimes they would cut down on profits if you're a trading vessel, and sometimes it would just take you a very long time to get home. These places where there was little to no wind for a period of time were called the doldrums. Now, some of Ernest's entries are more about the temperature aboard the ship. For instance, he wrote, "The weather is growing much warmer since we struck the stream. You do not need an overcoat anymore." And at other times, he mentions the importance of rain. He said, "I should not be surprised if we have a spell of wet weather. And for one reason, I hope we may, for our water is getting low in the casks. In the tank aft, of course, is enough for short allowances, but for washing purposes, unless we catch some before another 2 weeks, we will come up short." So rain sometimes could cool off the weather, which could be helpful, other times not so helpful if it's already cold, but other times it was needed for survival purposes like drinking water, not to mention for being able to wash yourself occasionally. As you can see from these stories about weather, it can be really important to know what's coming and to keep track of the daily weather. Whether you have to work outdoors like sailors did or not, it can be fun to keep track of what the weather is doing each day as well. Joanna and Lincoln Colcord would help find the sun's position each day to help with navigation, and they would write about their experience with wild weather at sea. And Ernest did the same, as you can see from his journal. So for our last activity, we are going to learn how to keep a weather journal. So we have one designed here, which I will share. Right. But you feel free to make your own if you want to have different things on there. You just want to do a couple of these. You can get a notebook and design your own, or you can write down each of the different categories that you'd like to keep track of. So the different categories, we have wind, precipitation, weather condition, temperature, and then how the day feels to you. First, for the wind speed, you can either check this online or you can make your own wind gauge. I'll put a link in the description for instructions how to make your own wind gauge. It does take a little bit of work, but it can be really fun. And it was also important to know which direction the wind is blowing. For sailors, they needed to know which way the wind would blow them if they unfurled the sails, as well as how fast it would push them along. So what you're going to want to do is write down the speed and the direction in each of these circles here. So for me today, the wind speed is 6 miles per hour. So write that down. And it is blowing east. Right. Now, precipitation tracks how much it has rained each day. Remember how Ernest talked about how the water was getting low and they needed the rain? This is a way that he could know how much water they had left for their voyage each time it rained. So it measures it in inches with the rainfall, you can see here. You can make your own precipitation gauge as well, which can be a fun activity. So I'll put a link to that in the description as well, or in the comments. But you can also look this one up online as well. Now, since it hasn't rained, I know that the precipitation is 0 inches. Been a little hot lately. All right. Now for weather condition, you can just go outside, take a look. What do you see? Is it sunny, partly sunny, cloudy, rainy, stormy? Is it snowing? Or is it foggy or windy? Could be a combination of a few of them as well. Then you can either circle which one it is for you, or you can actually color in these symbols as well if you'd like. So for me, it is partly cloudy. All right. And then some days it's going to be a combination. So it could maybe be storming and it's really windy, or it could be a cloudy day and it's snowing, that sort of thing. All right. Now for the temperature, this you can look up online as well, but other times you might have your own gauge outside. So take a look at that. Today it is 87 degrees for me. So I'm going to color all the way up there. It's about a little far. There we go, 87 right about there. And then you write down the temperature down here so it's a little easier to tell. That's 87 degrees Fahrenheit. In Celsius, if you look on the other side, it's about 30. All right. Now you're going to want to also write down how it feels to you today. Is it hot and humid? Maybe it's warm, cool, cold, or freezing. For me, I'm in Delaware and it's in the summertime, so it's both hot and humid. There we go. All right. So that finishes the weather recording for today. You can print up copies of these and keep track for a while. See if you can find any patterns in the weather, or maybe you'll capture a really crazy weather day. If you try it out and want to let us know how it went, we'd love to hear from you on our social media. And if you are near the museum today, please try to join us for some wild weather activities in person. Thank you for joining us today, and we will be back next week for more Maine stories, activities, crafts, and fun.